and welcome to Season 3, Episode 7 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and stupid football manager. Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert, we're down to 8th. It's March now. I couldn't bring myself to do a video while I was in experimentation mode. I'm still kind of in it. Let's just get into it. So we lost 3-2 away to Ebbsfleet. You know about that. That was in yesterday's episode. I thought I was a genius in the next game because we went away to Bromley, 1-4-1. This was playing the 4-3-3 formation. Tom Young's got a hat-trick after getting his first goal in the previous game, and we looked like world beaters. But as is always the way with us, in fact we'll skip on to the next game quickly. As is always the way, we're so inconsistent. We lost 1-0 at home to Cheltenham. My former reserve player from Boston, Owen Heather, getting the only goal of the game 2 minutes in, and just spoiling my day. That is confirmation that Rob Scott, the guy who took over for me at Boston, has now left Boston. They're second in Conference North. He's resigned to go and become manager of Lowestoft, who are 15th in the Conference North. Don't know. I don't get it. But yeah, they're and they immediately, upon this guy leaving, released Kane Felix as well. So I've had him at York on trial. He's not good enough to get into our team, but I've been trying to help him keep fit during the transfer window. I'm a nice man, but I don't know what's going on at Boston. That's two strange managerial changes in 6 months, both coinciding with releases of key players. We had Carl Dixon when I left, now Kane Felix when Scott has left. I don't know what's going on at Boston. It's all very confusing. Dele Adebola stepped up to be caretaker manager for a couple of games, and now I believe Jim Gannon has taken over. He was at Telford, I want to say, who were at the time 4th in Conference North. So, on the face of it, it looks like Boston have ended up with the better deal. All very confusing though. Getting back into my horrible run of football matches, we went away to Tranmere. We lost 2-1. And then we went away to Braintree and lost 4-3. At this point, I am starting to think, well, I know I promised myself to stick with this 4-3-3 possession all season, but I don't really fancy getting sacked. And it is mad, really, because if you look at the stats for this Braintree game, yes, we lost the match, but we had 30 shots in that game. We had 57% possession, but for whatever reason, this system just does not. It's not defensively sound enough for us, and we're conceding too many goals. That brought us to the end of the transfer window. There's been a few comings and goings in the Conference National. We've not really been involved in any of them. Eastleigh brought in 5 players for no money, though. And then up in the Premier League, there's been 130 million quid spent. Liverpool have brought in a couple of players. Keita for 20 million from Man City, and Rotario from Zenit for 15 million pounds, and Samir Nasri has gone from Man City to Juventus for 7 million quid. Liverpool spent 46 million pounds in the transfer window, and Swansea brought in 7 players in the Premier League in the transfer window, which seems odd. I guess they're probably bottom of the league and panicking. That was what the board thought of me at the end of January, and they're still satisfied with my performance. They were happy with that win over Bromley, not so happy with the defeat against Stockport. All sounds fairly reasonable. I'm starting to wonder why they haven't sacked me yet, but apparently my job security is still stable. Huzzah. Going into February then, we started well. We won 1-0 at home to Sutton. A Tom Young's goal. We've slightly amended the 4-3-3 at this point. It seems counterintuitive and odd, but we don't really have a proper defensive midfielder, so my theory for making it more defensively sound was pushing the defensive midfielder up into the centre of midfield. So it's a flat 3 in midfield now. We have a central midfielder on a defence instruction rather than a holding midfielder on a support instruction. It makes sense in my head. It seemed to work in this game. We did quite well, 1-1-0. And then we went away to Altrincham and drew 1-1. I decided to bring in some players, strengthen things up a little bit. These 2 players both appeared on my scout reports and looked like they could be rather useful to see out the rest of the season for us. So first one was Cian Flanagan on loan from Crystal Palace. He's a central midfielder who can also play as an attacking midfielder in the centre. Just gives us another option. We don't have any attacking midfielders at the club at the moment, and you know how I like to dabble with a diamond occasionally when I'm in full-on tinkering mode. And the other one was Josh Laurent, who's coming on loan from Brentford until the end of the season. He's a central midfielder who can also play as a defensive midfielder. So we have a proper defensive midfielder at the club as well now, just after I've fiddled with the system again. So we can now play a diamond if we want to, although it would mean dropping two of our best players of all season in Ryan Lloyd and Matt Breeze. So it's probably not something I'm going to play with unless I get really desperate, but it's nice to have it there as an option. And both of these lads are probably as good as anyone we've got at the club in central midfield as well, so they'll be handy to have around the squad, not costing us anything, so seemed like a good idea to bring them in. What wasn't so good was losing 1-0 at home to Eastleigh. Just annoying and stupid. And James Barrett got injured in that match as well, so I'm glad we brought in some midfield reinforcements because Corey Francis is still injured. Barrett's now injured, and as you can see, Matt Breeze is injured as well. He's playing through his injury. He's just got a broken nose or something on those lines, but he's not going to be at full fitness either. We then... This was a bit silly, really. But we had a 2-week gap before today's game. And I thought, well, we've got a 2-week gap. We're not winning any games. Why don't we arrange a friendly against a local club? The goal of the friendly was, it was twofold. I wanted to find out two things. Firstly, we played the first half, switched back to the 4-4-2, and then we completely changed the team and played the second half in the 4-3-3 that we've been playing. So the two systems we've used this season. I wanted to see which of the two systems was most effective, and I wanted a massive thumping victory against someone who wasn't any good to try and get some confidence back into the team, to remind the lads that they know how to score goals. It was nice to see Keshi Anderson get a goal for the first time in who knows how long. One of the new lads, Josh Laurent, got a couple of goals. Ryan Lloyd weighing in with a couple. Matt Breeze scoring as well. And then Corey Francis, who's just coming back from injury. It was handy for him to play 45 minutes in this match as well. The story of the game: when we played the 4-4-2, that puts to 5-1 up at half-time. I made a full 11 substitutes at half-time. I tried to mix the two teams so it wasn't skewing it too much. You can see that the 11 in the first half when we played 4-4-2, there's a lot of familiar names in there, but also some unfamiliar ones. We had Ainsley Pears in goal. Kieran Farrell was playing at left-back. Conroy and Brockbank as the centre-back, so Lowe was in the second half team. Flanagan and Laurent, the two new boys, played in central midfield. And we played Dolan rather than Lloyd on the left wing. And then in the second half, we just brought everyone else back in, plus a few of the other fringe players. And we won the second half 3-0. So I think I've decided we're going back to 4-4-2 for the run-in. All the stats suggest it's the best system. We scored more goals playing it against Tadcaster. We conceded a goal as well, but I was more interested in the fact we scored 5 against 3. And just looking at the runs of games that we had early in the season when we were pushing for automatic promotion for a little while, that was all with the 4-4-2. I need to watch back my own videos and work out what was going on when I decided to start fiddling with that, because I just broke a really effective system. We could be clear at the top of the league by now. I'm sure I had my reasons at the time. Was it injuries maybe? Whatever, we're going back to the 4-4-2 today. Hopefully it's not going to be too late. The board are still putting up with me. The finances are a complete mess. We're now nearly £600,000 in debt. I haven't spent any of that. This isn't me doing this. The board are now predicting that we're going to be £1.5 million in debt by the end of the season. So that projection has almost doubled in severity since I last gave you an update on that. So that's a bit of a disaster. And this is the league table. We're 37 games in. So that's 9 games remaining. And we are only 3 points off a playoff spot with 9 games left. It's doable, but we have to get a run of results together, and we have been in free fall since December, and it's March now. We haven't won 2 games in a row since this year. So that's what we need to do. We need to win today. We're playing Woking, who were the other team who were up there in the top 2 with us early on in the season, and they've fallen away as well. They're 17 points off the top of the table now, so they're kind of in a less dramatic version of the free fall that we're in. So they're probably the team we want to play if we want to prove that the playoffs are an option. I know I like to make my drastic predictions and pessimistic claims, but I genuinely think if we lose away to Woking today, that's it, really. We're not going to make the playoffs. I'm probably going to get fired, and that's the end of the York story. A draw, we might be okay as long as it's a positive draw, and a win, and it's all on, and I start to get excited again. So, as I mentioned, we're going back to the system that served us so well early on in the season. We're going for a 4-4-2. A couple of slight changes to personnel just to mix things up a bit. And just try and play the players who were in form and who look like they might be able to offer the most to the team. So we're going with Elliot Parish in goal. He's our only option, really. But we've got a slight change at centre-back. Taron Hare is coming in to play alongside Keith Lowe, purely because Brooksbank and Conroy, neither of them are really standing out and impressing me, so let's give Taron Hare a go. And then our usual fullbacks of Eddie Nolan and Alex Smith. In midfield, Lloyd and Breeze are our wide men as usual, with Lloyd back on that wide midfielder role he was playing earlier on in the season before he started scoring all the goals as a winger. There's logic to this, I'm sure there is. I'm just losing my own sense of what that logic is, but I'm sure it will make sense to you, maybe. Breeze is playing as an attacking winger on the right. Then we've got Jesse Starkey playing as the advanced playmaker in the middle, where he was so effective earlier in the season. And new boy Josh Laurent, having scored 2 goals against Tadcaster from this position last weekend in the friendly, is coming straight in to make his debut in a competitive game as a central midfielder on a defensive instruction. So hopefully he'll be a bit of a difference maker for us in central midfield. And then up front, Tom Youngs as a deep line playmaker and Keshi Anderson as an advanced forward. Youngs is a deep line forward, not deep line playmaker. That would be mental. So on the bench, we've got Ainsley Pears. Jimmy Lee is an option to come on as an extra winger. Cian Flanagan, the other new boy, the more advanced central midfielder. Jordan Slew, who is massively out of form, but could come on for either of the strikers that we've got. And then Ben Godfrey, who could play anywhere across the back four or midfield, really. Bit of a utility player to come on if needed. So this is what we're doing. It's going to happen. We're going to win. Let's give some squad numbers to these new boys. Let's go and beat Woking. Let's keep the season alive. Stop me going into full-on negativity mode. To be honest, if we lose, I'll probably just start applying for more jobs now. I'll get myself sacked through applying for jobs. I wonder if we've completed on the house in York yet. Might have to check with my lawyer. We're doing all right here at the start, though. We've got the ball. We're in their half. This is all promising. I remember when we used to do this all the time. And the highlight stops. Hey, 99% possession there for a second. That'll do. That proves I'm a tactical genius. We just need to try and maintain 99% possession for the match. We're obviously not doing it already. Yeah, they've got the ball in our half now. This is more like what I've been used to this year. And yeah, that looks familiar. We've conceded a goal. We're good at that. I'm making mouth noises just so that when I'm editing this, I realise I was still there. I was just sad. What is it with us in the second half of seasons? We start so strongly. It's completely counterintuitive to how you would expect the tactical familiarity thing in Football Manager to work, because all 3 seasons now we've started really, really strongly and then just fallen away. We had that little bit of a recovery at the end of the first season when we still managed to win the league with Boston, but really we weren't playing like champions. We kind of won the league by default because we'd started so well that it was pretty much impossible for anyone to catch us. But this is all 3 seasons now. We've had a fantastic start, been doing really well, and then Christmas comes and we just can't win a game. We certainly can't win 2 in a row after Christmas. I don't get it. Let me know in the comments. What am I doing wrong? Am I getting impatient around that time and am I starting to fiddle? Is it that we get to that point and we pick up a few injuries and then I start to fiddle because of that? I kind of feel like it must be my fault somehow. But we're back today playing the system that we played for the first 3 months of the season when we were looking pretty comfortable for promotion, and it's not being particularly effective today. It's the same players playing the same system. If anything, it's probably slightly better players. There you go, we've equalised. Hey, Keshi Anderson. He scored in the league for the first time this year. Magic. But we've added Tom Youngs to the side, who's a massive improvement over Jordan Slew. We've added the new lad, who should be okay. Laurent, is that his name? Something like that. Yeah, Laurent. We should be hammering Woking because we're a better side than they are, and we're playing in a system we know works. We should be bubbling with confidence after smashing Tadcaster as well, but again, we're giving them a lot of time and space on the ball on the edge of our area, and they're going to punish us for it. I'm not sure if that was the post or a good save from Elliot Parish, but either way, we've got away with it a little bit. It pains me to see us below 50% possession again after I really like seeing us dominate possession in matches. I'm not one of these managers who can just play for results. I don't like it as a fan when I'm watching football. And I don't really like managing that way, but I don't want to get fired. It needs must, I guess. This team's not capable of playing possession football and winning football at the same time. Come on, let's grab another goal here before half time. Give me a reason to not worry about possession. Oh, Breeze has done well there. Can he get the cross? Oh, he does get the crossing, but no one's there to get on the end of it. We certainly seem to be creating more chances playing this way. Perhaps not more shots on the actual stats, but we're getting more highlights than we were when we were dominating possession. And Matt Breeze has made it 2-1. And I guess the fact that we're getting more attacking highlights suggests, although we're creating fewer shots, the ones we're creating are much more threatening. And Breeze does really well to turn that in from there. And it's good to see him getting forward into an attacking position. Bizarrely, he's playing further deep than he has been, but looks more threatening going forward. But then I guess it's probably a case of he wasn't ever really fit while we were playing the 4-3-3. He had a couple of different injuries sort of pile up back to back. And Jimmy Lee was our right winger for the majority of that period of time. So it could be that that system works fine. We just rely heavily on Matt Breeze. I identified him at the start of the season as probably our most important player. Now he's back and fit. We probably could have carried on playing the 4-3-3. I'm not going to go back and tinker. Don't worry. If you're shouting at your screens, don't panic. We're doing this for the rest of the season now. I know I said that before. We are doing this for the rest of the season now. And I'm going to keep winning football matches. That's the plan. And we're going to win the playoffs. And it's all going to be really exciting. And we're going to forget the nonsense in the middle of the season that just, it makes it more exciting, doesn't it? Who wants to see me 20 points clear at the top of the league? That's no fun to watch. You want to see me struggle. That's what I want to see. Don't want to do it. I just want to win matches. Right, Taron Hare is not having a great game. Do I want to bring Ben Godfrey? Why do I keep calling him Godfrey? I'm going to change his name to Godfrey on here in a minute. That's not even a word. Why is he Godfrey? Right, I'm going to leave Taron Hare on because I don't want to play Godfrey at the back. So, let's bring Jordan Slew on for Tom Youngs. We're going to switch him straight up to be a target man because that's what he was doing when he was so effective there earlier in the season. And then we're going to bring one of the new boys, Cian Flanagan, on for Jesse Starkey. And that is fairly close to the midfield that we had against Tadcaster last weekend, certainly in the centre. Lawrence picked up an injury now, though, and so is Keith Lowe. Lowe was injured before, wasn't he? Lauren, I guess I'll bring Godfrey on for him in a second. I don't want to make the substitute. Oh, Slew, very nearly. That was a clear-cut chance. And earlier on in the season, Slew would have scored there. He just needs to get his confidence back. It's a shame he didn't get a goal against Tadcaster last weekend. He sort of drew the short straw and played as the false nine in the 4-3-3 in the second half, and it just didn't suit his play. I probably should have played Youngs in the second half because he's comfortable as a false nine, and had Slew and Anderson back together in a 4-4-2 in the first half, but didn't think of that at the time. Right, Godfrey's on for Laurent now. He's quite comfortable playing as a central midfielder on a defence instruction. He's been doing that since he signed for us around, November time? And it looks like we're going to win a football match. An important football match as well. Oh, no, not like this. Oh, well held, Elliot Parish. That must be it now. That's it, just hoof it. There we go, it's good hoofing. Slew actually wins the flick on, and it's back to their keeping. Now, come on, is it... Oh, I thought it was supposed to be 2 minutes. We're actually still in the injury time here. Breeze just keeps that in play and does really well to not lose the ball. If he can get a cross in here, that is excellent. and Anderson did really well to win it and almost got it down to Slew, and that is the final whistle now. We've gone away to Woking, who are 4th in the league. We've beaten them 2-1. That is a really, really important result, and that sets things up nicely. Now we've returned to the 4-4-2 that we know works. We've got 8 games left to go. Let's have a quick look at the league table, so I can start to plan out my end of season run-in. So there you go. We're 1 point away from the playoffs with 8 games to go. So this is where the episodes start to get a little bit more interesting and a little bit less of a gap between each one. So I think what I'm going to do is play the next 4 games offline and be back for that Hammer Hempstead episode, which is early April, 4 games from the end of the season. We'll know by then if the playoffs is on, and if it is, we might even just play through those last 4 games and then launch straight into the playoffs. We'll figure it out. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you pop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the future episodes. Thanks very much for watching.